Welcome to another episode of Hedgehog Watchdog with our candidate series. I'm Greg Baldwin, joined as always with Devin Saxon. And we were supposed to have two candidates on the show today, but it appears one of them may have ghosted us. So we got Sean Natchke, who is running for State House out West River. We've had him on the show once before, back in April. He was running for city council out in Sturgis at the time. And now he's running for State House. Welcome to the show, Sean.
Hey, welcome, guys. Glad to be back. How you been?
Pretty good. How you doing?
Not too shabby. So busy as always. It's not enough time in the day, that's for sure.
Yeah, that was going to be one of my questions. What do you do again? I know you have a pilot license, but what's your 9 to 5?
My 9 to 5, I'm a heavy equipment operator up at there's a gold mine up near Terry Peak called Wharf Resources. So that's kind of my 6 to 6, and we rotate days and nights back and forth. So you never know if I'm awake or sleeping or what.
That's awesome. You're a gold miner. I love all those gold mining shows myself.
Yeah, I've actually got to meet some of those people from that one show. I can't remember what, where they're up in Alaska and stuff.
Bering Sea Gold? No way.
One of them. There's about half a dozen of them shows, but oh, that's pretty cool. So just real briefly, like I said, I know we had you on once before, but maybe just tell us about yourself, your family, background.
Yeah, so like they said, my name is Sean Natchke. I am 33 years old, and I live in Sturgis, South Dakota. I have lived in Sturgis for the majority of my life, but I did live down in Las Vegas for a while, and I did live over in Europe for a while. So I've gotten to literally see the world. Otherwise, some of my hobbies, like they said, I got an airplane. I love flying. Riding motorcycles, racing motorcycles, anything outdoors. I love lake days during the summer, ski days during the winter. So otherwise, I'm just like everybody else. I feel like I'm a blue collar, average Joe type guy, just trying to make a difference in the world.
It looks like we got Darren here. Let me add him quick. Hey, Darren. Can you hear us?
Yes.
You were coming in.
Oh, we did hear you for a second.
Oh, and then he dropped out. Darn it. I know Sean's got some stuff going on tonight, so we'll just keep going with him, and then if we can circle back, if Darren comes back on, we'll ask him a few questions. Oh, here he is again. See if his audio is working. Can you hear us?
Sorry. Here. You hear me? No.
Yeah, we can hear you. Just break.
Pretty choppy there. Might need a better internet connection or something.
Yeah, you guys in your Black Hills internet. Good thing Christy Nome is giving you guys all broadband over there. Christy, you heard it on the debate. Christy took credit for that shitty internet out there. So, so real quick, Sean, sorry, what made you want to run for office? Let's ask that.
Well, like you mentioned before, I did run for city council earlier this year. For my first time running, I did very good. I was against two very big powerhouses, and I almost beat them out. I came close to beating the guy that did win, and it kind of came down. There was some couple newspaper articles you could read about. There was what they call electioneering going on, so there was some unfair advantages given to them, and I put up a hell of a race and still almost won against them. So then I decided, well, let's take the next step. Let's keep going, because that there's a lot of things I'll keep this very generic. There's a lot of things that have been changing with politics lately, and I'm sure probably the average Joe that you ask, do you trust a politician? They'll say no, and I kind of want to make it my mission to change that. So I'm just, like I said, I'm that guy that just got fed up with what he was seeing. And I mean, yeah, you can vote, which I recommend everybody get out and vote, but I recommend as many people to get up, stand up, and start running for whatever political office they can to help get some things changing.
I agree. Welcome, Darren. Can we hear you now?
I hope so. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yep, loud and clear. So Darren Freidel, he's running District 33 State Senate. And you guys are actually our only legislative candidates this year for the Libertarian Party. But you guys are also both you're running basically, had you not thrown your hat in the ring and had you not ran, the races basically would have been unopposed. So obviously we're grateful that you did run, but Darren, we asked Sean this already, but Mitty, why did you want to run for office?
Well, it was basically what you just said there. I couldn't in good conscience just let someone run unopposed, especially in our state where it's heavily Republican. The incumbents are constantly have the leg up on everybody. And my opponent right now isn't even advertising because he sees no threat whatsoever. So it's just, I needed to do something. I was Republican up until a year ago. I just didn't like the way the Republican Party ran and what they were doing and both parties. So visited with Colin for a little bit, and he kind of turned me on to the Libertarians a little bit. And he says, like, hey, why don't you run? So I was like, all right, well, I'll do it.
Oh, yeah.
No, that's awesome.
For the podcast, I'd just like to run in for Daryl. He's speaking about Colin Dutrell, who's running for Congress. So
Yes.
If you're in South Dakota, that'll be everyone in South Dakota will have a chance to vote for Colin. If you haven't yet, I would highly suggest looking at Colin Dutrell on Facebook. Even if you're a heavy Republican, you're going to agree with a lot of what he said, and I believe he has the backing of the Democratic Party as well. So when both parties can sit there and agree with him and say, "Hey, this man might be onto something," I would just highly suggest that everybody look up his Facebook or look it up, ColinForCongress.com. I believe he has. So
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, for sure. Colin's a great candidate running in the two-way race himself. But like you guys kind of mentioned, I always thought why libertarians are necessary or a third party is necessary or even a fourth or fifth. But us specifically, I think we can work with both parties on some issues. We can work Democrats out with some things. We can work with Republicans for some things. So we can bridge that divide. Although South Dakota's legislature is pretty much a one-party legislature. Darren's state senate, they pretty much have a supermajority because there's nobody opposing them. There were 20 Senate seats that there is no second candidate, and they only need 24 for a supermajority. They pretty much got it. So we appreciate every candidate that's putting up a fight. And you guys are doing that. You guys recently endorsed IM27. That's initiated measure on the ballot next month to legalize recreational marijuana. Can you guys just real quick give me your opinions real quick on that measure or in general?
Yeah, go ahead, Sean.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay. So I'm one of those people. I've honestly never tried marijuana in my entire life. I don't feel like I need it for any particular reason, and I would rather focus my efforts at other hobbies and recreational activities. So, but with that being said, I fully support it because just mainly, I mean, I can get into the stance of, do we really need all these laws telling us what to do, micromanaging us in every portion of our life? I don't believe so. But, looking at the states that have passed it, just the revenue alone from a small amount that is taxed on it, even though I don't necessarily agree with all the taxes we have on everything, but just the small amount that is taxed on it, we have bridges that have been out on the west side of South Dakota for years. We have roads that need help. We have, South Dakota is still, I think, second or third worst paying state in the whole nation on teachers. We can help that. We can give them that necessarily funds they need for their classrooms. There's just so much good that could come from it. And to me, it's a no-brainer. Why not? Why not capitalize on it if people want it? And then finally, that's what I want to bring in. It comes down to is last year, 54% of people voted. They wanted it, and they found a loophole to get out of it. Kristi Noem and her party, and along with Pennington County Sheriff, I believe, that they made a big deal on how to get around it. And, why would you go against the people's will? It shouldn't be that hard. If the people vote for it, that's what it should be.
Darren?
Yeah, I'm kind of echo exactly what Sean said. I think that a lot of the since most of the people voted for it, it should be law. I don't agree with the legal loopholes they jump through and try to make it difficult. I think it's a great medicine I mean, you look at opioids right now. How many of those could get replaced by a plant? I mean, you're looking at, they're calling it an epidemic. I'd be curious to see how many people actually don't need opioids anymore. I mean, I deal with chronic pain from my service in the military, and some days I can't sleep. So honestly, I'll take it, and it helps me sleep. It helps my body feel better. I'm not at the point where I'm just beat down by everything during the day. It helps quite a bit. And I honestly don't think that going against the people's will is something that our elected officials, who are there to impose the people's will, should be doing. I think it's to me, it's no different than alcohol being legal, tobacco being legal. There's no difference on it. The fact and the federal level that is a Schedule I narcotic is, to me, the most ridiculous thing ever, because I don't know many people that smoke weed and end up shooting up a bank. It's usually the cocaine and the meth that you hear from that do that to people. So it's not to me, it should be legalized. It should have been legalized 2 years ago when it got voted in. The medical got approved, which was great. It's a step in the right direction, but we should be going all the way with it.
Yeah, the medical, I think it was a necessary first step, but, name another medicine that you got to pay a couple $100 a year to the state government to be able to take.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
I'd like to see definitely less regulations, but I do want to see it passed. But one thing about Initiated Measure 27 is it leaves it up to the legislature to actually write the law. So it would make the legislature essentially legalize it. But then we're leaving it into the legislature's hands to write all them rules. And so I definitely think that would be a benefit to have libertarians in there helping write them rules, because if you over-regulate, over-tax it, the black market continues to thrive, and and also making sure maybe that tax money is funneled to specific things. I know kind of a running joke is always the video lottery was sold as it was going to really pay for schools and it was going to do all this stuff. And from my understanding, they just kind of rolled that into the general fund. And, it's not necessarily going to what they said. But anyway, I think, like I said, that would be good to get some libertarians in there helping write them rules. So one of the questions, I know I kind of had given you guys a couple questions earlier because I didn't want to hit you out of nowhere. But one of them was we talked to Sean about what he did for a living, being in heavy equipment and mining. And Darren, what are you in again?
I'm a cybersecurity engineer.
Okay. So is there any government regulations or specifically maybe even state regulations for your industry that you think are hampering it? Or
well, in my industry, being in IT security, regulations are actually considered good, because you have to, if you don't force organizations to adhere to security standards, then compromise happens. So, I mean, it's kind of sucks with my aspect, but I can say that growing up on a farm, I know that regulations hamper farming families. Whether it's regulations on things such as fertilizer or what we can plant, what we can't plant, different things like that. Going into if a family, we'll use example insurance, for example, the state's disaster insurance. In order to get money for your crops that are destroyed, in the case of, like, I want to say it was like 5 years ago, they had that massive flood out East River where all the water was up everywhere. My family had to plant a certain number of acres in order to even qualify. So my brothers and my father were driving a tractor with a planter through a field that had a foot of water in it just so they could get that disaster insurance at the end. I mean, that's just ridiculous. It's like, here, you're going to spend all this money and waste all this seed for the government to tell you that you qualified for this when they can actually just go out there and look and say, oh, that's underwater. Obviously, you can't plant there. Yeah. So just kind of common sense stuff. That's what it all boils down to. And that's kind of what I'm running on, is use some common sense. We can't, you can create so many rules that it's impossible to do business.
Or there's always a way for you to get in trouble.
Yeah, exactly.
Sean, is there anything in the mining industry maybe that you think hampers your abilities?
You know, for the most part, I actually agree with a lot of our safety standards. In mining across the nation, there's actually an extra entity called MSHA, the Mine and Safety Health Administration, that oversees a lot of extra safety and health of miners and environmental issues. So my industry has extra beefed up protocol, and for the most part, all of it is good. I can't think of anything in particular that's absolutely terrible, because a lot of people see mining as a sore, or maybe it's unhealthy for the environment and such, but the reclamation process behind it is thanks to a lot of these regulations. So it keeps companies from coming in and just leaving these sore wounds in the world. So I don't really agree with that, but I will agree with a lot of the agriculture area. But then another thing that I've been doing is working towards a commercial pilot's license. I will kind of step in there and say there was a law that was just rejected that would allow certain classes of commercial pilots to have less hours and less training essentially if you're not flying a airplane that's hauling passengers and such, allow you a little less training or hours. And there's a huge shortage on pilots. I'm sure everybody's heard it right now. Well, why not make it easier to maybe push some pilots that are registered and are trained into the airline industry to help get the passengers, and that'll open up spots for that lesser trained people to get their experience. So, in my mining industry, I say no, but in my aviation industry, I'd say yeah. There's some things I'd like to see some changes.
That makes sense. There's a shortage of workers in every industry, basically, but eliminating loosening some of the licensing requirements is definitely something we should be looking at. I think. Obviously, you still want somebody who's flying a plane to be safe, but if he's not hauling passengers. So over on our side of the state, a big issue right now. There's a bunch of lawsuits going. So there's a company, Carbon Solutions or whatever. They're trying to build a CO2 pipeline, and they're in illegal disputes with owners. They want to come in and survey on their property, and the landowners are basically telling them to go F themselves. Like I said, there's lawsuits flying, but I've heard it said that legislature is going to look into making some changes to the eminent domain laws in South Dakota. I don't know, in all detail the exact laws, but what are your opinions on eminent domain? Would you be in favor of making it a lot harder harder in the sense that maybe if it's not a national security, this needs to get built kind of, thing. Anyway, what are your opinions on eminent domain? Darren, go with you maybe.
Okay. My opinion on eminent domain is basically I don't necessarily agree with it unless the cases of harming people. So I don't think my family has been in farming since like the late 1800s. I don't think that I need the government to come onto my family farm and tell me we're going to lose X amount of acres because they want to put a pipeline in there. Now, if they work it somewhat similar to the way they work the oil companies, where these landowners get royalties off of the pipeline, and these people agree to it, then yeah, that'd be perfectly fine with me. But loosening up eminent domain is basically just opening up the door so the government can take your land from you. I know it sounds conspiracy theorist and whatnot, but it's true. I mean, you look at different roads and everything that cut through people's land, and on the goodness of transportation, when you're ruining families' lives by doing this. So I think, like you said before, less regulation is probably better. So I don't think we should be regulating into something that could could possibly become a environmental disaster.
Sean, your thoughts on eminent domain?
So, eminent domain was first brought into place during war times to help soldiers, have a place, where they can build, come on your land, build barricades, have a night to sleep. We're not in a wartime right now in America, so I agree. Like, nobody should be able to come in and just say, "Hey, your land is mine now. I'm going to make some money off this. Sorry, you're SOL." That's not right. So, we absolutely I guess I want to look into some of those pipeline issues now because I haven't heard about them out here. But absolutely, no one should be able to come in and say, we want your land. This is what we think's fair. Good luck. Only if people agree on it should it happen. And frankly, if you don't want to sell your land, well, it's yours to do with what you want. So by no means should the government be able to come in and take your land, or any business for that matter.
It's kind of funny. I don't know if you guys have ever seen this meme going around, but it's even in China. But the Chinese, they're a communist country even, but they had built this like huge mega mall, and it's a funny picture because there's this dude's house in the middle of the parking lot, and so it's just this huge parking lot, but that dude's house is still there because he refused to sell his house.
And I love that because he's actually still like farming his little acreage there too.
So what else did I have here? Oh, so like South Dakota, another thing that seems to be going on a lot. South Dakota seems to be building a lot more jails and prisons this year. I know my county and Devens County over here, it's on the ballot in November to some bond to build new law enforcement centers and jails. But out West River, you guys, I heard they either announced or they're breaking ground already on a women's prison in Rapid City. I think, and just point out, women it's like 70% of all the women in prison in South Dakota are in there for a drug offense. So that's probably something to look at. But so they're building new prisons all over and new jails. What are your thoughts on like criminal justice reform in general? Anything you propose or would like to see? Or Sean?
Well, it's funny that you kind of mentioned that. Is first thing I've said is, well, if we legalized marijuana and we were able to let a lot of those marijuana drug offenses out, would we need more prison? Would we need more room? So I don't think so. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but you look across the nation and you say criminal reform. I don't believe that it is working very well because a lot of people that go into the system re-enter the system. So we got to look at why this is happening. I would like to see the numbers of California, Denver, and such that the drug-related offenses went down by X amount when marijuana was legalized. So are these people actually having, are these repeat offenders still going on when it's just marijuana? I'd like to see those numbers. But do we need more prison room out here? No, I don't think so. I can maybe get behind the women's prison just a little bit, just to try to take them out of general population and, keep the men and stuff. I could see where that might be an issue. You might make an argument at that, but I guess I want to be supportive either for or against it. But these for-profit prisons, though, they need to go. I can't stand behind a for-profit prison.
Yeah, I actually just read an article. It was the mayor, I think it was the mayor of Chamberlain. He was talking about how he'd like to build a regional jail facility in his town there in Chamberlain. And he was pitching it as a moneymaker for the county, which I just am always amazed when somebody says something like that, because you should never look at it as a moneymaker. You know what I mean? It's like you said, for profit.
Profiting off of other people's misfortunes.
For sure. Darren, what do you think? Criminal justice reform, anything?
I honestly think instead of building more prisons, we need to build more mental health facilities. We don't have an issue with drugs. I honestly think the issue is addiction. The issue is mental health. It's proven time and time again that prison right now basically molds future offenders. It doesn't address the issue. It puts people in a cage for a few years, and when they get out, they have nothing to fall back on. So they go back to their old lives. So I think that if we're going to spend taxpayer money on anything, it should be mental health facilities, rehabilitation facilities, and actually address the issue of addiction head on versus just put the problem away and hope it doesn't bother the next generation.
Yeah, I agree. A lot of our problem just comes from drug addiction, and people, I think that leads to the recidivism. If somebody went to prison because they were a drug addict, they got out of prison, they're still a drug addict, basically. And then a lot of that reoffending is just doing the same thing over and over again. I think we need to address that for sure. One area that I'd like to see addressed, and I'll get your opinion on it, but civil asset forfeiture. I've listened to some committee hearings on that, and the state seizes assets, and then the county is actually, it's kind of like Sean mentioned, the for-profit policing in this case. They can seize assets without a criminal conviction, and it's a civil matter, and it's not a criminal matter to get your money or your property back, which is kind of messed up. But then the counties themselves actually benefit from this, because whatever asset is seized or money is seized in that county, I don't know if they get to keep it all or they just get a certain amount of it, but they definitely profit off of that. Would you like to, what are your thoughts on that? And if you'd like to see that kind of tightened up a little bit?
Well, I honestly think that it should be civil forfeiture is kind of goes against the Constitution for illegal searches and seizures. I think that if someone, obviously, if someone gets drunk, gets behind the wheel, and kills somebody, obviously there should be some restitution there by forfeiting some assets. But in the event of minor criminal activity, or like you said, they don't even have to be held criminally negligent. They just get called up and they get their stuff taken away, and then they have to go through legal loopholes for 6 months to a year to even longer to get their stuff back. And proportionally, the crime rates among lesser fortunate people is higher than upper middle class wealthy people. So you're taking stuff from people that don't have much to start with. So when, in the event that their conviction is overturned or they're acquitted in the court of law, they have to fight to get their stuff back. So they could lose their house, they can lose everything, business, anything. So I definitely don't agree with civil forfeiture at all, for the most part. In the event of restitution needs to be made, then yes, but it shouldn't go through the counties, where the counties and the state can benefit off of other people's misery.
Yeah, one of the examples we heard was a truck driver. His lawyer was speaking in the committee, and a truck driver had a little bit of drugs in his glove compartment, and they seized his truck. And I've even seen like the Aberdeen Police Department, same thing. They found a little bit of drugs in the guy's car or whatever, and they took his car. And I just, civil asset forfeiture was like written for like the Miami Vice, the the Nino Brown, the Pablo Escobar. It wasn't meant to steal everyday people's property. Anyway, Sean, I don't want to cut you off. What are your thoughts on civil
Well, I
asset
actually have a
forfeiture?
little bit of a personal story here. I actually have a friend that is coming over from Ukraine right now. I've known this guy for 6, 7 years. Um, Random story about me is I speak some Russian and Ukrainian, so I actually have a lot of friends over in that area. But he's getting out of there on a refugee visa. He came over here to get out of here and become a refugee to get out of the war. And him and his wife came over, and he was carrying exactly $2,800 some odd dollars worth, too much money in American over here, and he was carrying his life savings with him because that way he could change it over here. He had no way of transferring it, and they have taken all of his money, and he's now going to have to fight to get it back. It wasn't much, but he's now having to fight to get that back because he was just a little bit over, you know. So I don't agree with that. I mean, they get me off on a tangent of I believe there should be accountability with officers and legal proceedings when they're obviously in the wrong or they have obviously um, pressed the wrong charges or pushed the wrong opinion on it. Whether you're in a car with somebody and you're the driver, but somebody that you were driving, you're one of your friends, you get pulled over for whatever reason. He drops a little bit of, coke in your car, and he's saying, it's not mine, it's not mine. And you're like, I've never done it in my life. It's your car. You're going to get arrested and taken to jail and put on drug charges. Your car is going to get, at least impounded, if not forfeited. So I don't agree with it. I think there's better ways. I think there needs to be repercussions for when things are wrongly charged, and there are a lot of issues like that.
So are there any local issues specific to the Black Hills that you guys maybe want to talk about? Anything going on out there?
I think things are going good out here, except for I know a big issue on people's minds out here are property taxes, because we've had a huge influx on this side of the state. I don't know about you guys, but on this side of the state, we've had a huge influx of people during this pandemic that came out and were just buying out houses for twice as much as they're worth. Well, I know my house has jumped up almost 20 grand in its value because of how this has happened. So my property taxes have skyrocketed. You got people out here on fixed income that now are not being able to afford their house because the taxes went up too high. You have other people trying to get first-time home buyers, kids, or fresh out of college or even high schoolers that are trying to make it on their own, can't even afford something because of taxes and because of the increased prices. So I would like to see, I would love to use my place and the house to help maybe regulate some of those property taxes and to keep that influx from coming up.
I agree. They're way too high. Darren, what about you?
Actually, I'm going to second what Sean said. Property taxes are just ridiculous. I mean, we had, like he said, we had a huge influx of people coming in. They're building at a rapid rate all around the Black Hills area. So the housing's there. So the money is going to the county / municipalities. And I don't see any relief in sight. I don't think that, one, property taxes should be a thing at all. It's ridiculous that I have to pay money on something I own, and then if I fail to pay that, they take what I own. So I don't agree with that at all. I think there can be. I understand that as a civil society, we need some form of taxes, essentially, but there can be other ways to make that money versus having property taxes. I think additionally, pushing on the state education board to change the style of education. So I think the education system in this state is broken. One, we don't pay our teachers near enough. I know Rapid City School Districts is bloated from the top down. I know that's not something I can address at the state, but I don't feel that we need 150 something administrators to run a school district when each school is separate from each other. So what's the point of having principals and stuff if you can't?
I agree about the property taxes. Sean has to get running, so do you just make your pitch to voters real quick? We got about 4 or 5 weeks till the election. Sean, what do you got to say?
So, just something I personally would like to try. I know, being state house and on my level, I'm going to be focused more local, but something I really want to push hard is, especially after this pandemic, especially with today's economy, I see more and more people getting burnt out, just working so very hard, working tons of overtime right now. Something I truly believe at heart, and there's starting to get some memes going on Facebook and all over that, and I see some movements behind it, but I really want to push no taxation on overtime pay. We're already sacrificing 40 hours a week at a job and taking away from our family, friends, and everything. A lot of us are being forced to work overtime right now just to pay the bills. So I don't think by us sacrificing more and more of ourselves, our time, our soul, I would like to push for no taxation on overtime pay. So if that's something that sounds good to you, and you live in Meade County, around Sturgis, Piedmont, all the way out to Faith, look into me. Shoot me a message on Facebook. My email, snatchke@gmail.com. I'm very active on there, answering a ton of questions. And the biggest thing about me is if the voters want it, I'm going to vote for it no matter what my personal opinion is. I'm just here to help do better for the average person. So that's kind of my 2 cents. Feel free to look me up, like I said, if you have any questions, and I'd love to hear feedback. So.
All right, well, thank you for coming tonight, Sean. Good luck to you on November 8th.
All righty. Thank you so much, gentlemen. You guys have a great one. And you guys too, if you have any questions or get any questions about me, shoot them my way. And the rest of you guys, we'll see you around, and get out and vote. It's your voice.
Thanks for coming on.
Thank you. I love that. No taxes on overtime. Wait, should we just kick him out? He was trying to leave.
What do you think about Kristi Noem's proposal? I don't know if I should credit her for the proposal to end taxation on groceries, Darren.
That is, in my opinion, 100% a stunt for her popularity. I honestly think that Noem is eyeing a much bigger office come 2024, and she's trying to make the pitch for herself. I don't think it wasn't her idea. It wasn't. It was libertarians that are pushing the taxes. I think that it helps. It does help. I'll give her props. If not having to pay taxes on groceries is great. I know going down to Nebraska and going into Walmart or something like that and actually purchasing groceries down in Chadron, not having that state sales tax is awesome. Is because basically what you're going to pay. You don't have that percentage on there. But I think it's just a show on her part. It's just to kind of boost herself and make yourself look better when someone needs a running mate in the future.
Apparently the Senate Majority Leader, I forgot his name, but Adam Jewell ran against him in 2020. But he came out and said that they try to pass an ending the grocery tax bill, and it got through the House or whatever. And then Kristi Noem contacted him and said that they should kill it because it's not fiscally responsible, and the House is being fiscally irresponsible by getting rid of this tax or something. So I thought that was some juicy political intrigue.
Yeah, the classic signal of a or a true politician is they will lean whichever way the wind blows. They don't stick to their own laurels. It's all what benefits them in their bid to become reelected. And yeah, I'm not for that.
Well, that's like she come out too a little while ago saying that this time she would respect the will of the people if they pass recreational, that she wouldn't fight it. Again, like you said, it's election season. I kind of take anything anyone says with a little grain of salt, especially when you've already had the opportunity to do this and you didn't do it. It's kind of like
exactly.
It's like when a Republican in Congress starts telling you about that they're going to balance the budget or they're going to get real serious about the national debt. It's like, well, I've seen this one too many times, guy.
Yeah, we've had how many years of this coming out, and honestly, when it comes to the recreational marijuana that got passed, I mean, that could have been approved. I don't know. I don't have it in front of me. I don't have the information, but I'm pretty sure other bills have passed the same way and no one said anything. So I don't know. I mean, I think she's doing it, one, because she knows it's a midterm election, so the election turnout will be less. Those that do turn out are probably heavily favored against it. So she knows she can say that to make everyone happy, so they get out and vote for her. But at the end of the day, I think she's hedging her bets that it's not going to pass this time around.
Yeah, I don't want to get cocky or confident that it's going to pass myself either. I mean, I hope it does, but like you said, it's a midterm election. Another thing, last time, medical was also on the ballot, so people definitely supported medical. That was like 70% in favor. So yeah, I'm not 100% confident myself, but I hope it does. I didn't have a whole lot more questions. I did have one question. We'll do it, make it an either or, but if elected, what is one law you would eliminate if you could, or if you don't want to do an elimination law, what's one law you would like to sponsor or propose?
Oh, geez, that's one law I would actually looking to sponsor is I know this is kind of a weird political term, but criminal justice reform in the state. One, eliminate or release some of these people that are held for nonviolent crimes. Like a 19-year-old kid's got a bag of weed in his car and he gets 5 years for it. To me, that's just ridiculous. I think looking into the sentencing guidelines within the state themselves and eliminate some of that. As far as eliminating laws, I don't know enough of the laws on the books right now that affect me personally. I'd have to reach out to my constituents to see what they want done as far as eliminating laws. I would regulations, yes. I would be for eliminating a lot of the regulations that are out there. One thing that got Christie in trouble that I wish that it wouldn't have happened this way is like the housing appraisers. She got in a lot of trouble for nepotism because her daughter brought it up to her and kind of forced that lady to retire and all that other stuff. So, I mean, that was kind of a shitty deal. But I think that kind of industry, I know refinancing my house, it took me forever to get an appraiser to come out there. And then I thought about it myself and I was like, I'll look into it. Just see if I could become an appraiser on the side, make a little side money and whatnot. And the steps you have to go through just to become a home appraiser is ridiculous. And then after you get all the forms and everything else done up, you have to get on with another appraiser to apprentice him or her for X amount of time. Well, what company is going to let you shadow them for the needed amount of time to become an appraiser? I honestly think that stuff like that should be, you have your tests, you take your tests, and they just evaluate what you do, not basically force you into servitude just to get that information, just to get that piece of paper to say that you're good to go.
Yeah, who wants to train their own competition? That's kind of...
Yeah, exactly.
That's like, I've worked some manufacturing jobs where it's like they bring in a guy and it's like you're training him, and then next thing you know, that's your replacement.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't have a whole lot else. Devin, you got anything for anything else?
Not particularly, no. I'm kind of ignorant on West River issues because I'm all Flatlander.
Yeah.
But District 33, State Senate, vote for Darren Freidel for sure. Any last pitch you want to make to the voters?
Well, I'm on Facebook, facebook.com/Freidel33. They can find me on there. They can send me a message. I answer all my messages back. I get a lot of hate messages. My morals and values aren't aligned with South Dakota, apparently, according to some people. But I usually try to answer them back and
as nice as possible,
as respectful as possible, to get their point of view, and then try to educate them a little bit on what libertarians actually stand for. And people who reach out to me, get out and vote. I honestly, it'd be awesome if people in my district voted for me, but I mainly care that people get out and vote. I just, my daughter turned 18 in July, so this is the first time she gets to vote. She's registered as a libertarian now, so that's awesome. Yeah, so we got one more. And so, speaking of it, I got to drop those forms off at the courthouse here this week. But just get out and vote.
Be the
issues and get out and vote.
Change.
Yeah,
be the change you want to see.
Exactly.
Yeah, we definitely need more candidates in the future. Darren, I think you're a pretty good candidate, pretty good guy. West River, District 33. They'd be lucky to have you. I don't know who are you running against. Who's your opponent out there?
Dave Johnson. He calls himself the tree guy. He owns a tree arboring service, and I think he owns Rocking Tree, Floral and Garden in Sturgis too. But you'll know him by his. He hangs up like 5 signs throughout the district when he's doesn't have any Republican opponents. So
yeah, has he kind of been reelected over and over again out there? Has he been kind of out there for a while?
He was in the House till he termed out, and then he moved up to Senate. I think he kind of ran unopposed for Senate at first, and then someone tried to primary him out, but that didn't work. Well, mainly because there's one rule I'll change. I honestly think that our voting system sucks. I think that all parties should be able to vote for candidates, especially in a state as heavily red-leaning as South Dakota is. It would help us get a lot more middle-of-the-road candidates, some candidates that are willing to compromise for the better of the people. Being a libertarian, I was unable to vote in a Republican primary, which I think is ridiculous. I think all people should be able to vote on the candidates in their area, no matter what party they're in. But yeah, there.
Yeah, I don't mind open primaries. One idea I've heard floated I didn't like, though, they attach open primaries to what they call a top 2 scenario, where they open the primaries up, which is all well and good, but then they only advance the top 2 candidates to the general election, which for us would not be a good thing.
No, not at all, not at all. But I think that the primaries themselves, the Democratic, the Republican, if we get to the event that we actually have libertarian ones, I think that just all should be able to vote on it. Independents should be able to vote in primaries. Independents can't vote in primaries, and South Dakota's got a lot of independents.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So allowing those people to actually have their voices be heard in primary elections would be greatly beneficial to everybody. It would help us get some new blood in there too, so it's not the same candidates over and over again.
Well, all the taxpayers are funding those primaries anyway, so whether we get to vote in them or not, we're still funding them.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Mr. Freidel, for coming on the show. Good luck to you on November 8th, and hopefully I'll be calling you on the 9th to congratulate you.
Yeah, hopefully. I think we got a good shot. We got a good shot. So just people get out and vote. We should look pretty good.
Nice.
All right, well, thank you for coming on tonight.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Yep.
Well, I think that might be our last episode in our candidate series. We're about out of libertarians in South Dakota. So unless there's somebody that's caught your eye that lives in another state that you want to interview between now and the 8th of November, that might have been our last. But we did that debate live stream for the governor's debate. That went pretty well. Had a good time. Looks like we're going to do it again for Colin Duprell, our candidate, or U.S. House candidate. His debate on SDPB is on the 20th of October, coming up in about 2 weeks. So I think we're going to live stream that again. Tamara Lesner, our U.S. Senate candidate, her debate is so late in the year, or in the cycle. It's November 4th. It's 4 days before the election. So I don't know. We might live stream that one too for the fun of it. Other than that, nothing going on.
Here's a video of Colin at the Mitchell Parade. I figured I'd show it since we were talking about it earlier. But yeah, Mitchell had a jungle-themed parade. Oh God, Parmaview.
Is that you in the suit?
No, I'm with the camera in the back of the truck. But yeah, a lot of people show up to Mitchell. Colin's getting really good at crowd working. He wasn't already. Definitely not shy of it now. Just shake hands with everybody on that street. But yeah, that was on the main, I don't know what street. It was just street with the Pond Palace on it. Pretty event. We got some pretty positive feedback. An interesting detail about this. This is Dusty Johnson's hometown, and Dusty Johnson did not attend the parade at his hometown.
Politicians have gotten lazy.
Yeah. But here's Colin, all the way from his ranch up by Sturgis in Vail, South Dakota. All the way came all the way to Mitchell to be here at this parade. So that's dedication, man. From when's this debate again, did you say? When was Colin's debate? Wasn't it like a week or so?
Oh, the 20th.
20th? Yeah. Well, yeah, big postal election kind of sucks that we're done with our candidate series, but I think they went well for getting the candidates up, interviewed, let everybody know what they're about. All right.
All right. Well, another episode in the books.
Yeah.
2 steps closer to being a millionaire.
We're almost got our network contract.
Spotify's been calling. Said, no, we got to finish this candidate series. We got commitments.
Right.
All right. Well, thanks for tuning in. Check us out on the 20th unless we decide we need to do a World War III special.
Yeah.
Countdown to World War III special.
Yeah, I always get nervous when you see more World War III memes coming out. And then apparently there's some stuff going on with Russia and Ukraine. And apparently Germany's in the mix now with their energy pipeline that got sabotaged. What do you think it was, the CIA, or do you think it was the Russians that sabotaged that pipeline, Greg?
Well, the Russians could just turn the freaking oil or whatever off, right?
Right?
They don't need to.
It's like that's the logical thing. It's like, all right, we'll just shut this off because we control the other end.
Yeah.
Like, why would they sabotage the line? It makes no sense. And I don't know, man.
I know it's going to be
better ideas to get us into World War III.
It's going to be an expensive winter over in Europe this year.
Winter's coming, dude.
Winter's coming.
It's coming. What can you imagine? What it would be like as an American to have President Biden be like our president during a catastrophe such as a third world war. Like, we've already had this too, kind of with FDR. He wasn't like senile until like the end. Like, I remember there's like videos of him being pretty senile, like after his polio was taking over too much. But I think it'd be like the same thing again, except it'd be like from the beginning of the war.
Actually, I just read an article that said he never actually even had polio.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was kind of interesting. I was like, really?
Is that like Pluto's not a big planet, dude?
Yeah, it's like
unlearn everything I've learned.
Yeah, it's like everything we were taught in school. You come out later, it's like he never had polio. No, the article I read, I can't remember what they said he had, but he had something else. But they were like, yeah, he never had polio. This is just more vaccine propaganda from the government back in the 40s. Polio don't cause fucking. I better not say that. We'll get sued.
I know, dude. You already put a. Now we're gonna get a. You just said the V word, so now we're gonna get a little warning on our video. God damn it!
Hopefully that means all the anti-vaxxers watch it, boost our numbers.
Yes, dude. We're being strategic.
Yeah. If we get slapped with a big old fake news, that's the best thing that could happen to us.
Oh yeah, dude. All right, we better start before we get in trouble.
See you later.
See ya.